Our guest today is aesthetic art and all the way from Canada. Please help me to introduce Nurse Sheena.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, thank you for joining us. I'm so excited to ask you so many questions.
Awesome. I'm excited too.
Amazing, amazing.
Hi, my name is Jonathan McLean, and I'm the founder and CEO of McLean Aesthetics.
Welcome to the dark side.
Let's go.
So let's jump right into it. Tell us, Nurse Sheena, how did you get into the aesthetic industry?
So I was one of those nurses about 7 years, no, a little bit more, I would say about 9 years ago, who was in nursing school and just started hearing about the aesthetic industry. But at that time, it was mostly older males, usually
Mm,
doctors or surgeons only, that were really doing most of the cosmetic procedures. And there were just whispering of nurse injectors at this time. And I knew in nursing school that I loved beauty. I did a lot of freelance makeup with my sister and just always so interested in art and creativity. And shortly after nursing school, I started my career in public health, but was driving in and out of town almost every day. And I knew pretty quickly it wasn't for me. So I took a chance. I dropped off my resume at a medical spa. I had no training at all, but I thought, hopefully my artistic skills and my passion and my grit will help me, really advance. And at that time, there were really no courses. It's not like today where there's weekend courses and multiple courses everywhere. It was mostly on the job training, and someone took a chance on me, and here I am today.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. That's an inspiring story, honestly. I actually stopped for aesthetic injectors, and the number one thing I tell new injectors is if you're having a hard time getting an entry, go ahead and drop your resume off at
Yes.
spas that are around you. And
Yes.
they're like, they a lot of them do so many things and they get frustrated at trying to get into the industry. What would be some tips that you can give new providers that are looking to get in with no experience?
I would say this year is so unique compared to, 5, 10 years ago. There are amazing courses and amazing academies, you can just find by Google search. So the first thing I would say is start off by taking introductory Botox and or filler course. But
Mm.
it's not enough anymore. That's just kind of the tip of the iceberg now. I would say once you have that introductory course, sign up for webinars, sign up for, PRP, other things where you can continue learning, and keep dropping your resume off. And if you can, meet people in person, if it's an option. Otherwise, continue that academic portion. And when someone is willing to take on a chance for you, just put all of your energy in, whether it's shadowing days for free or bringing in friends and family, and just continue working on your portfolio. I think that's the biggest tip. A lot of injectors, new injectors, will look at Instagram and see these big accounts and big followings and think, I want to be there. But I think we all start somewhere, and we all start knowing nothing in the beginning.
Couldn't have said it better. That's amazing. For sure, for sure. Now, how did you become more comfortable with picking up a needle? Because you were new in this industry. You just dropped your resume off and then you started. But how did you become so comfortable with picking up a needle mentally, even though I'm sure you've practiced before? And how did
Yes.
you?
In the beginning, it is hard because you're working on someone's face and the pressure and the stakes are so high. It's not like a needle in someone's arm where if you bruise them, they can continue on with their life. If you bruise someone when you're doing cosmetic injections, it's quite impactful. Or if your results are not amazing. So in the beginning, I started off very slow. I started off with neuromodulators only. Started off with just doing kind of our upper face toxin, and then I went into more popular areas like lips and cheeks. And as I became more and more comfortable, I would bring on more skills and more areas. And I think that's my biggest tip for new injectors as well: is don't start trying to learn everything. Start off with one area, get really, really good, and then grow with your patients and continue learning.
Nice, nice. Now, being in the Canada area, what are some trends that you're seeing right now in the aesthetic industry?
I think a lot of Canadians are more focused on uh, getting those natural results and using biostimulatory products. So things like Sculptra, Radias, Instalift silhouettes are becoming really popular now because patients are looking for more of a long-term natural result. Unfortunately, we don't have any threads approved in Canada, like the PDO threads, but I know that's something that Canadians are really coming in and requesting. But there's been a big push on skin and collagen production in the last, I would say, 2 years, which has been pretty awesome. And just creating really beautiful lift without that really puffy, overdone look. I think patients are really wanting that natural look, and providers are learning and coming along with that process as well.
Now, with the sculpture and radius, is it more on the face, and or is it more like in the body? I know in South Florida, it's huge in the buttocks. What are you seeing most?
I see both. So the collagen production in necks, décolletés, buttocks has become really, really, really popular. We don't necessarily have big pushes for the non-surgical BBLs. I'm sure in Florida that's huge. Um, in Canada, I do have quite a few patients who want those non-surgical BBLs, but they're not as popular. They're starting to come into awareness now. But people absolutely do love those products in other places in the bodies. Some days I'll do the most bizarre areas. I'll do elbows, I'll do knees. I had that the other day, and it's these small areas where you can get skin improvement. Um, but I think the non-surgical BBLs, the awareness is coming this way. Canada sometimes is a little bit late on some of these aesthetic trends. Um, and as a provider, you can get all that information and learn, but then it's all about, marketing to your patients and having them catch up with everyone else.
For sure. How important is it to have a global perspective of the industry?
I think it's really important because in North America, we are pretty subjected to our beauty standards. So, for example, like our non-surgical BBLs. I also work at a plastic surgery clinic, and we do breast augmentations, things like that. But I have a very large community of Eastern patients, so from South Korea, China, Philippines, India. The beauty perspective is so different. We do a lot of facial slimming, jawline slimming. We do calf slimming in the legs, and that is so oppositional to North American beauty. But I think it's really important that injectors go out and they receive education that is global so that they're able to bring that back to patients and not only offer one type of beauty.
Such an important point. I'm so glad you said that because
Yeah,
even like going to some of the conferences these years, they talk about exactly that, right? Because everyone has a different standard of beauty, right? And when you're
exactly.
treating this patient, you have to kind of tread towards that, or, you know, how do you set expectations with patients?
That's a hard one. I think right off the bat during their consultation or first meeting, we start setting up expectations. And I always say it's a mutual agreement between both of us. I will come in and I will give you my advice as much as you'd like it. I will hear your concerns, and it's about a plan and agreement we make together. But I'm very honest, I'm very realistic with patients. And I always say I like to um, under promise, over deliver. Right.
Mhm.
Um, I think the biggest thing that I do also during my sessions with patients is I like to break my sessions up into multiple appointments. Then this way they are seeing the results, it's within their financial means, and they're really happy. And you get to know people over time. Aesthetic procedures are really about trust on both ends of the relationship. So when you have multiple appointments, you're able to create that trust and rapport over several sessions.
That's great. That's great. Because I feel like when you have that white glove service or able to create that rapport, people come back and back and back and back. You're building your
Exactly.
community.
Exactly. And then they get to see other services that you might have at your clinic, whether it's non-injectable services like cool sculpting or facials or whatever, lace or whatever else you provide. But then that way you're helping your patient, and you're really, bringing them on as part of your clientele, but then also making them feel really comfortable with their services as well.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Are you seeing an increase in more machines also?
We are. There's so many devices out on the market now, but I think technology has become really quite refined. So the machines that are coming, at least approved within Health Canada and our market, are really quite wonderful. And I think the best thing as a nurse injector is to provide information and um, basically a full consultation plan for our patients, because injectables will only take you about this far, and skincare will only take you this far, and lasers will only take you this far. It's the full combination that will, create that wow effect. So I personally don't perform lasers, but I am very in tune with lasers, and I know a lot about our machines. So I'm great with referring my patients as well.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Now, with someone new entering the industry, what could be some pros and some cons that you can give them?
Sorry, did you say pros and cons?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I think pros, it is such a fun industry. If you love beauty, you love art, you love precision, it's the best industry you can be in for sure. You're always learning. There's never a lack of learning. You're never going to be bored. Every day is a new day with injectables and medical aesthetics. Of course, there are some cons too. Like I mentioned before, the stakes are really quite high because, first of all, your patients are there and they're paying for their treatment. In Canada, healthcare is free. So when you have a patient coming in to pay for services, it's honestly elevated the experience thus far. So your services and your technique and what you provide has to be A1. It has to be like top notch. Okay. Um, the second thing is there are high rates of body dysmorphia, just in general, and very high rates in our industry. So the latest stats are about 10%, a little bit 8 to 10% of our population has body dysmorphia. They're saying in our industry, it's about 3 to 10 times higher than that. And I believe it, right? So as an aesthetic provider, you have to balance yourself between being a sales and a business person and being an ethical provider, and knowing that there are patients with body dysmorphia, and it's how do we help them and how do we provide ethical care. So I think if you keep those thoughts and those cons in the back of your mind, you will have awesome success in this industry.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think a lot of people will take tidbits of that away and really use that and deciding whether they would like to enter this industry or not. Great,
Yeah,
great,
I
great.
think so.
Yes. So let's talk social media. It's important, I feel like, because it's the nowadays like billboard or TV ad or the way people get customers through their door. How has
Mhm.
social media kind of impacted you, if any?
I think social media is probably my number two way that I attain clients. So my number one is referrals and word of mouth. I think that's always going to be probably the most popular thing. But social media is amazing in terms of things like hashtags. I don't know how important it is for my practice, but I think things like before and afters are incredibly important because they serve as a portfolio and something that can help you attain clients from not only your city, but maybe another state or province. I think it's so incredibly important, as well as just showing up on social media and just showing who you are. For me, my patients, they've come in and they said, I feel like I know you because, I've seen what you look like. I know what you're into. I know what your voice sounds like. So it's not that scary experience that you might feel judged or you don't even know the face that's going to be providing your service. So to me, social media is really important, but it's not everything. It's not the only thing. I think, ensuring your bedside manner and your customer service, so to say, is important and your technique is stellar. Social media is just one more piece of the pie, so to say.
Nice, nice. And you said before and after pictures are extremely important. Is it like a portfolio nowadays or
I
how's
would
it?
say Instagram has become a portfolio. Sometimes during my consultations, we'll pull up my Instagram, or a patient will pull up my Instagram and say, Hey, Sheena, I really love this photo that you put out. So it does serve to me as a secondary portfolio. And I think that's important. But in saying that, it's really important to post realistic results of your before and afters. In the day and age of Photoshop and editing and lighting, I think Instagram is very important for aesthetic providers to be ethical and to post pictures that are realistic, because if you Photoshop your photos or always have the most optimal lighting, if you can't reproduce those services to your patients, they'll catch on pretty quickly. So having authentic before and afters are really important.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Is there like a sales side to aesthetic, or do you feel like you don't have to be kind of skilled in that niche?
It's definitely, I would say it's a 50-50 on that one. Um, I'm always ethics first,
Yeah,
and I never think about the money. I never think about how much I'm going to make. I never think about anything like that if my sales are low. It's first of all, what does that patient need? What could they benefit from? And then what's their financial situation like? That's always my last question, because at the end of the day, the patient is there. Most patients are quite educated on the price of things before they walk in through your clinic door. Um, but I think being ethical first, if you are a great provider, sales will come. It's an automatic. People will love you. They won't care how much the price is. They will love your work and they will come. I think if you're sales driven first as a healthcare provider in this industry, it's a setup for failure.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I agree. And also, there's so many people that are looking to come and try injectables. If,
Yes.
like you said, if you're honestly doing a good job, they're gonna tell a friend, they're gonna tell a friend. It's literally you're literally gonna grow so much.
Exactly. And of course, at the end of the day, you are running a business. So of course there are, certain sales, business aspects, financial aspects to be aware of. Absolutely. But it's not the first thing. It can't be. And I don't think in any business it should be. I think it should be passion first. Why are you there? What are you providing? And if you are really good at what you do, sales will come.
Yes. Now, I know we mentioned education throughout this interview a little bit, and I know it's very important. Tell us a little bit about education in your point of view, and maybe some things injectors can try if they're interested in learning more.
Yeah, there's so many ways to receive education in our field, and things that I do, that are free or I pay for. So one thing that is awesome that you can do are white papers or research articles. There are a ton of research articles all the time coming out, talking about new techniques and what's approved and what's being studied. So that's an easy way. The second thing is to talk with your rep of your filler or neuromodulator company and talk about hands-on training, didactic training, one-on-one training with someone in your city or your industry. I think those are awesome. And then the third thing you can do is participate in conferences, workshops, anything like that. Whether it may be, international conferences or cadaver labs, whatever that looks like, I think it's so important. I do all of those, and it makes me feel very fulfilled as a provider, and it helps me bring back the newest, latest, greatest techniques for my patients. And it's a great way to continue your passion in this industry and to be a safe injector as well.
Nice, nice, definitely. Is there any conferences that you can suggest for the audience?
Yeah, for sure. So there's quite a few. So I'm a big fan of Dr. Arthur Swift. He's a fellow Canadian plastic surgeon, and I've been to two of his Swift beauty conferences, one in New York and one in Montreal. They're incredible conferences. So I would recommend that for an intermediate to advanced injector for sure. Some of the topics he goes through are not those introductory topics, but once you have maybe 1 to 2 years under your belt, that's a fantastic conference. The other one that I absolutely love was the AMWC, which is a conference in Monaco. That is basically a world conglomerate of aesthetic medicine, and incredible. And then I'm going on one this summer, which I'm super excited with. It is called The Inner Circle with Julia Horne, and that will be in Switzerland. And I'm just so thrilled to be going. So once I go, I'll have an update for you if I would recommend.
Yeah, I hear a lot of buzz about that. It seems like a lot of people are going to be going to that.
Yeah, yeah, I think it'll be a great conference, and they have three of them this year. Pardon me, for 2023. So I think we'll see a lot of aesthetic providers joining that in the near future.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of Julie Horne, I feel like she's a good example of someone that really monetized herself and kind of branded in on one technique. Do you feel as
Yes.
though an injector can be really good at only one thing?
I think it depends. If you hone in on that one technique and you have clientele that comes in through the door because your technique is that fabulous and you can turn away other clients, I think that's amazing. Whether it's, you perfect the lips or a chin or you're the best at the Botox brow in your city or your country, that is fantastic. Um, you just have to ensure that whatever you do, you're putting your all in. So if you're noticing that you're honestly the best at one thing, go for it, run with it. But someone like Julie Horne is the way she is because she's like a celebrity in our industry. She's an outlier for sure.
Nice, nice, nice. Now, tell us a little bit about anybody you would recommend on Instagram as far as, people that are influential in the industry or people that, put out a lot of content that's educational for providers that are watching this.
So Julie Horne for sure. I think
Yeah.
she's someone, most injectors have heard of. A lot of patients have heard of her as well. So if you're not following her, I think she's great. I really like Shelby Miller from Utah. She's fantastic. She's an RN as well. I think she's also an NP and great example of a nurse injector and business owner and what that day to day looks like. Um, I really like Dr. Christian Subio. He's a very authentic, also very funny plastic surgeon, and he gives a very realistic perspective into the aesthetic industry. And then Injector Bunny, Erica Berry, she's in the States as well. She produces amazing, fantastic content every day. And then I also subscribe to her Patreon. It's another way that you can continue your education and learn those advanced techniques. She's fabulous. So those are probably my favorite.
Super cool, super cool. I'm gonna drop all those names below so everybody can go ahead and follow those people for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Nurse Sheena, for joining me today and talking more about the aesthetic industry. Tell everybody where they can find you and what you got planned next.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was so fun, such a pleasure. You can follow me at Nurse Sheena. You're going to see that I'll have a new focus probably in the next 12 months, and it's going to be all about ethnic beauty, and it's going to be all about sculpting, lifting the face, focusing on different ethnicities, and just giving you the most customized version that we can find. So that's really going to be my focus for the next 12 months.
Super cool. Yeah, we'll have to come back and you have to update us on that for sure.
For sure I will.
Awesome, awesome. And until next time, bye.
Thank you. Bye.